Hi, this is Billie Beene here with another segment of News by Billie, U.S. News. Today's date, November 17, 2023, episode 92. Some of the things we'll cover. U.S. military ships around the U.S. and the world. Radiation. Another list of cities. AI. President Xi in San Francisco. Diana, Princess Diana, will we see her again soon? And Money in January. We say bring it. Some of my sources are God in the Bible, Patriot Subscriber, U.S. Military, Gregory Monorino, Carrie Cassidy, Israeli News Live, Stephen Benoon, Joshua Phillip with Crossroads, Dr. William Mount, Pastor Paul Begley, David Nino Rodriguez, You Be Ready, JWTV, Hal Turner, War News 24/7, and Utsava. So let's get started. So first of all, I'll begin by drawing a map of the U.S. We have some things going on. I put out my last video about the list of cities that could have some kind of attack issues. So we see this, Texas, California. So we've got Florida, Texas, California. Now, this is where we have 11 warships. That's what we have in our fleet. And so we have in the Mediterranean Sea near Israel, we've got the Gerald Ford near the Gulf of Oman, the Eisenhower. We have 3 around Taiwan, the Nimitz, Lincoln, Roosevelt. We have 3 in for repairs, the Stennis, Trinum, and Bush. But we also have 3 off of our coast. So on the west coast, we've got the Reagan, and we have the Carl Vinson. On the east coast, we've got the George Washington. So that's good to know. We've got some carrier ships, and we know a carrier also has around it supporting cruisers and destroyers and subs. So yeah, we've got protection on both coasts. Now we have this. We'll be talking about radiation. Now, when this happened in Ukraine about May. I put out 2 videos on it. And what happened was the UK had sent depleted uranium to Ukraine for use in its Challenger tanks. And Russia hit the depleted uranium. Now, I did research on that, and I had sources, I think War News 24/7, Hal Turner. I also looked up the European radiation measure. Now, all nations have around their nation different sensors for radiation. And what I found in the European measurement right after this incident, and the depleted uranium has a unique characteristic, and that is over time it becomes 4 times stronger. Now, the nanoparticles from depleted uranium radiation does cause radiation sickness. And that also had been something I'd been hearing in my spirit, radiation sickness. I thought we were talking about the sun. The sun can also produce that. But then we have this incident. Now, so this was in May, and I brought out the European measurement had a skyrocket in dosage level right after this event. And then it went away because I had planned to check it periodically. But no, it went away from the internet. But I did check that the wind had changed to west, and now we're getting, it did move west from Ukraine and went into Europe. So now we can expect a spread from Europe across the atmosphere. Who is to say if what the effects would be when it would reach the U.S. coast, because the UK would be up here, moving this way, is unknown to me. I'll just have to try and track that in the future. But it should have gone down. Now, we have this. Russia hit the depleted uranium, and I put out 2 videos about that in May. And the radioactive particles have been measured in the UK. That happened just a few days ago. And it had already spread from the UK, Poland, which is where we have tens of thousands of U.S. troops, Germany. So it had been spreading across Europe. Yep. And so we have this. We have Dr. Chris Busby from England talking about the measurement of gamma ray radiation in Poland, Germany, and now in the UK. And I will say this. Some people think you should rush out and get that prophylactic. It's a form of iodine. Okay, it is not prophylactic, and it should not be taken until you are in a direct nuclear event. Now, this is one thing I can say. Regular iodine, I brought that out earlier about the long-term plan by the deep state with regard to getting people to stop smoking cigarettes because they would be taking in nicotine, which could help their immune system. Well, I submit the same thing has been going on with the removal of iodine out of salt. And I became aware of that, probably about 4 or 5 months ago. I now take just a regular iodine vitamin. But I checked into this. It was removed out of the U.S. salt decades ago, and I didn't find it in regular vitamins either. So, that's just something to think about. But with regard to the radiation measurements coming into the U.S., I will keep up with that. Yes. Okay, now we have this. I put out that list of cities that might have attacks on them because we would be foolish to discount that possibility, knowing that folks from around the world, we likely have 500,000 CCP military inside the U.S. We also, since the JB show's been in, have had tens of thousands of military-age jihadists come in. Most recently, in the last month or so, they're from Syria and Iran. Okay. They're here in the U.S. I mean, we've been documenting that. And Monkey Works was documenting the shadow U.S. military. We pick them up and fly them around the U.S. And the UN gives them money and phones. And we call them sleeper cells. So Hal Turner had information from like 3 sources. I put that list out. Now, this is another list from UB Ready. And he is a Christian prophet. UB Ready. I wasn't familiar with him. But he had received a list from the Lord July 1, 2023. That includes Washington, D.C., New York City, Miami, Florida, Houston, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Chicago, Illinois, Las Vegas, Nevada, Los Angeles, California, San Francisco, California, Seattle, Washington. So it's just another update, and I like Hal Turner's motto, get right with God. So yeah, that goes. But I bring this forward as a way of, it is good to get right with God and also prep and maybe have a go bag and just think about that. Okay, now I'll talk about AI. So we have David Nino Rodriguez who brought out some really interesting information. So now we've got Israel in this area. We've got the Sinai. We've got Egypt. Now we've got Saudi Arabia. In this area, we've got a city, Neom. Now, Stephen Beforeitsnews with Israeli News Live had brought out information on this Neom, which is Saudi Arabia had given a robot, AI, Sophia, citizenship. And this happened a few years ago, and they had Carrie Cassidy brought this out. An individual who was involved in robotics and AI interviewed this Sophia. And she said what she wanted to do was have a factory in this area, Neom, and build robots and have no humans involved. Now, I submit to you that these are empty containers. AI can be added, but they also make good vehicles for demon entities. And I propose that may be what's behind this, because I had a word from the Lord about this place, because Stephen Beforeitsnews also brought out it was a place of Baal worship and ritual sacrifice and so on. But what I got from the Lord was he would take this place out. So now we'll look at some information about AI. And I had this, AI. So Benjamin Fulford had also brought out a while ago that this Kim Go-Gun, his intel said that she was a robot, with AI in her. And so I asked God about that. So AI, and I agree with Cliff High, can never become self-conscious. It's software. But what I got from God was AI has to be combined with some form of bio, something he's created. So this Kim Go-Gan, what I was getting from God was, like, you have people here, and we exude an energy from our bodies, electromagnetic. We have our soul, and we have spirit from God, which radiates out around us. So an AI can interact with this energy around us and use it to produce a CGI persona. And so that's what I was getting that this Kim Gauguin is. Now, David Nino Rodriguez brought out some very interesting information. He said he goes to, he used to be a boxer, a fighter. He goes to Austin occasionally for a massage with a massage therapist, as many athletes do. And they're subscribers to his YouTube and other platforms for his news. And what they were telling David was they were seeing handlers come in with what they perceived to be androids, like robots, and they wanted them to massage them. And so the massage therapists who communicated with one another, because it's a professional organization, and it was the different places in Austin this was happening. And she said to David, yeah, we can tell they're not human because you can ask them a question and it's like they have to wait and go through all their responses that they think is appropriate for whatever the question was and then give it to you. And that their skin felt different. And so the massage therapists were thinking, well, maybe they come in for massages to get used to being touched by a human. And that makes sense to me, that they would have the massage, they would experience being touched by a human. And by the way, these are all beautiful women. And then they would put that tactile information into their database. That's what made sense to me. And it was also put forth this would be also help them integrate into society. So it'll be good to have a heads up on that. That person you think is so stilted may not be a human. So that's going on. Okay, now we have this. Yeah. So we had in San Francisco, California, we had over the weekend, or like this is Thursday. So I believe that meeting was like Tuesday, Monday. Oh, President Xi of China came in. And before he did, San Francisco was all cleaned up. No more homeless people, no more human excrement on the sidewalks, no more empty syringes the drug users use. It was all cleaned up. And the big question from several people has been, where did they put the tens of thousands of homeless people they had living out on the streets of San Francisco? I think that's a good question. No one's answering it. But at any rate, San Francisco was cleaned up for Xi to come in. Now, one of the rumors I had heard was that Obama, remember him? Supposedly he's an between the deep state, the Rothschilds, we know are Nephilim, Rockefeller, who are making shots from up above to JB, that in between is Obama. And so the rumor was, yeah, President Xi is coming in because Obama gave him Washington State, California, and more. Yeah, no, that was a rumor. But President Xi did come in. He did meet with the JB actor wearing a mask. And exactly what was discussed so far, in my mind, is unknown. Now, we had this from Pastor Paul Begley. It was an APEC meeting, Asia Pacific Economic Corporation. To sit at one of the tables cost $40,000. Some of the companies that were going to be there, Citi Group, Exxon, Microsoft, Tesla, SpaceX, Twitter, big banks, big oil, big tech, space companies. Yeah. So that went on. So it's still, in my mind, a mystery as to what was discussed. And one thing that was pointed out through citizen chatter is that President Xi was sitting at the table and JB next to him. JB would turn to President Xi to talk to him, and President Xi would always turn his face away from JB. An indication in Chinese etiquette that I'm sure has some deep message. So now we'll go on to U.S. economy. Gregory Monterino is talking about, the Fed is buying debt. We also had information from Jim Willey, PhD economist from Costa Rica. So now, Gregory says, as they buy debt, that makes the Treasury bond go down in interest. So it's reduced from 5% to 4.5%. Now, recently, the Treasury Fed had an auction to sell Treasury bonds. That's supposedly how they fund the government after they steal all the money from American citizens they can. And there were no bidders because we do have that BRICS, that's an economic as well as a military alliance going on that's based on gold and silver, tangible assets, so that the rest of the world is not taking the U.S. dollar. And that's going on. And Gregory Monterino brings this out. The banks are cutting credit, to small businesses. True. Now we have this. So we have changes going on in the U.S. economy. And we were hearing by November 15 that the government could shut down. Now we have Congress, that's the House and the Senate, and I think JB had to, put a scribble on it as a formality. Talking about a stop-gap measure to fund the government. Since it's anticipated we may have some big changes in January, I see this as being a good move. So it extends the government to the end of 2023, and then there'll be a second part in the first months of 2024. So Congress is now on Thanksgiving vacation. They'll be back about December 1 for maybe a week. Then they go on Christmas and New Year's vacations. Oh, and they just recently, a few weeks ago, gave themselves a raise. Every single one of them is plus $74,000 per year. Oh, we're out of money. Really. So that's going on. And now we have this. We have from Utsava. Now, she's a seer. And she's been saying this for years. And I had Patriot subscribers send me the same information. I have no way of verifying whether this is true or not. Who said that President Trump's marriage to Melania was a cover, and that he's really married to Princess Diana, and that they have a son, Baron. So, now, Utsava says in January, when we see President Trump again, we're going to see Princess Diana. So, we'll see. Now she says this. What's going to be happening in January? So this is Utsava. Judy Byington also has the same information, as does Sherry Ray. So we have multiple sources. Sherry, I know, gets her information from the military, and Judy does too. So, yeah. So in January, President Trump back. He's the president of the Republic. And this is coming out. JFK Jr. is helping. And it's unknown if he's going to take the position of vice president or not. Maybe initially. And we have this from Utsava. So we see directed energy weapons will become illegal. We'll actually have a law against it. We will have free Starlink internet and other forms of free energy. And on the DSARA, the prosperity money, for people on Social Security or SSI or veterans, this will go up dramatically to at least $5,000 per month to begin in January. And that, will take a few months then, maybe until June, to set up and begin distributing the additional money that people are due, which is their money from all the money they've paid into IRS, so IRS money. Supposedly some kind of money the deep state made on birth certificates, plus fees, plus any interest you've paid on illegal loans, like for a car or house. All debts go away. But this money begins at the age of 30 to 50. You have to be employed at least 30 hours per week. And then 50 to 60, I think you get, people 30 to 50, they're getting so much per month, I believe. 50 to 60, I think you get your money in 1 year, spaced out over 12 months. If you are 61 plus, you get a lump sum payment. This also includes monies due you from your deceased spouse. So, yeah, that's going on. So, yeah, we say, bring it. We're ready to be blessed. And now I have a new prayer. And this is based on King James Version, Jeremiah 34, Deuteronomy 31. It's entitled Strong and Bold. I wrote this morning. Behold, I, your Father, your God, will uphold you because you have kept my covenant as you give liberty to your neighbors. You give liberty to others as you forgive others. I will keep you safe, you and your family and your neighbors, as you forgive others and uphold my covenant with you. Be bold and of good courage. Go forth, and you shall inherit the land which I, your God, have given you and your descendants. And we say, thank you, God the Father, God the Son, Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, and God the Holy Spirit. I say to my family and friends, remain steady out there, continue to pray. It's good to remember God is in charge and He is on the move. I love you, and I'll see you soon.